Hey everyone, Leader Dorset Spur back. You can see I am now back home after my lovely little weekend away. I've got to tell you, if you ever get a chance to have a quick break in Geneva, take a little ride over to Chamonix to the ski resort that's there. Very picturesque this time of year. The snow was falling. We went on a train all the way up to the top of the glacier. Had a wonderful, wonderful time. And of course, I come home, get home just in time to sit down with a nice Chinese, Tottenham on the telly, and of course, we then run out 5-0 winners against, it has to be said, a poor Southampton football team. But listen, you can only beat what's in front of you, right? And you cannot get over the top. I get that. You cannot go over the top and go, fantastic, we smashed them, and all that sort of stuff, because obviously this is Southampton and they are bottom of the league and they have not had many decent results at all. However, we do have to kind of call out that I've been looking back at the results that they've had this season so far, and against Aston Villa, they only lost 1-0. Against, let me see, they beat Everton 1-0. Wolves beat them 2-0. Liverpool beat them 3-2. Brighton drew with them 1-1. Going back into October, Arsenal 3-1 winners at the Emirates. Leicester only beat them 3-2. Manchester City only beat them 1-0. So, you're looking at some of those results and you think to yourself, well, yeah, they're losses, but they're not being trounced in the way that they were against us. The only other team to beat them comprehensively in that way is Chelsea, who beat them 5-1 on the 4th of December. So actually, our result is probably their biggest loss of the season against anybody, and that includes Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool. So, and then you kind of got to add into that your Brightons, and your Aston Villas, who are those that are kind of, we would like to think we're in that kind of battle, that kind of level of challenging to get towards that top 4 European spaces and so on. So actually, when you look at it from that point of view, it's a pretty impressive result. I have to give a little bit of credit to Southampton. I felt that they kept going all through again, and they did have a few chances. Nothing really, really troubling, but they did have a couple of opportunities. And on their day, if they had kind of gone their way, we could have seen a couple of goals go against us, which would have made that result look a little bit less than it really was. I don't think you can diminish the impact of that first sort of 15-20 minutes onto the Southampton team receiving that beating, because they looked absolutely shell-shocked. I think the other thing as well, before we kind of go on, is we also had probably our weakest setup playing that game. And we can argue all day whose fault that is and so on. But the point is, we are where we are currently. So in that team, we had our second choice goalkeeper. We had an 18-year-old midfielder playing centre back, a 22-year-old Radu Dragusin, who isn't generally in the first team if the other two centre backs are fit. You've got Lewis Bergval in that team at 18 as well. You kind of look at it, you think, there's a lot of spaces in there that you'd kind of think to yourself, those players wouldn't generally play in those positions, or if the first team players are available. The squad, in terms of depth, looking at the bench, was also really, really diminished. You didn't have an awful lot on there that you could bring on to say, really change anything if it wasn't going your way. And of course, we had Jed Spence coming in for his first Premier League start. Now, I have to say, really, really, really got to give credit to Jed Spence. For whatever reason, he hasn't been playing at all. And the fans have been calling out for him to come into the team because both Porro and Udogie have been not as good as maybe we would want them to be. Porro less so. I think he's had a couple of difficult games recently where tiredness is probably catching up for him because he hasn't been rotated at all. Udogie, he kind of concerns me a little bit because he's not been the player that he was at the start of last season. Since that injury, he seems to be not as good, maybe not as efficient or as dominant as he may have been in the beginning of last year. So Jed Spence have been calling out from the fans, and I actually wrote on my Twitter that I hoped that Jed Spence really, really did do well because my concern was that the fans are calling out for him. He comes on and has an absolute stinker and then becomes the fall guy, which he didn't. He came on, he played really, really well, put a great effort in. I mean, it was basically him who created that first goal. Real good show of strength. Shrugged off the Southampton player and played a beautiful ball through, and Maddison just, absolutely smashed it home. And again, I was critical of Maddison in the Rangers game. I felt that he was totally invisible, and yet this game he was pivotal in everything we did. I mean, his second goal, he should never have been scoring from that position, to be fair. And I would argue that he almost would have got a penalty had that not gone in because the Southampton player was literally dragging at him. So absolutely pivotal from Maddison, who really, really, really looked up for it. But is that what he needs? Does he need that bit of stick? Does he need that, kick up the arse to really motivate him to realise that you can't just go out there and ghost around? You've got to really put the effort in. Bergval certainly. Don't know what happened there. My screen just went blank. Don't know whether that's going to come out in the recording. But yeah, so as I was saying, just a little bit concerned that he was going to be, backwards and forwards, side to side, playing it safe. He wasn't. He was trying very hard to move in the right direction and give us something, some kind of level of backup. So yeah, I thought, for an 18-year-old coming on, I thought he did really well in his position. Kulu just does what Kulu does and plays really, really well at the middle of everything. I mean, he could literally be our best player, man of the match every game, in my view. But also good to see Sonny get on the score sheet as well, and also set up a couple of goals. Maddison, for instance, in the way he kind of just cruised through the centre of their defence just to kind of really, to be honest with you, I thought the opportunity had gone, but for him to kind of pop that away, again, really, really happy for him, because I do think that Sarr is probably one of our unsung heroes. I think he plays well the majority of the time. Sometimes stupid decisions like, the penalty against Chelsea. Where's your head at doing that? But credit where it's due. I thought he played I thought he played really, really well. In fact, I felt the team overall played really well. 5-0 up going into half time is like dreamland, to be honest with you. At that point, I was thinking we're definitely going to get a draw out of this. So really, really happy to see that. The second half, I get it. I totally understand it. It's not what I wanted to see. If I'm being honest, I wanted 10. I wanted to see us absolutely smash them. Living on the South Coast, let me tell you, there is no love lost between people in Dorset and the people in Southampton. A little bit more leeway for Portsmouth, got a little bit more of a soft spot for them. Southampton, no chance. I know loads of Southampton fans. and I'm really happy to give them that today. Anyway, I digress. So second half, a lot more controlled, a lot more kind of side to side, back to back, keeping possession and letting Southampton play as in their own half, as it were. I think we ended up with best part 60% possession. We only had one shot on target in the whole of the second half, so a little bit boring that second half. But I understand that you've got a big game coming up Thursday. We want to get more players out that are out without getting injured. It looked to me like Udogie picked up an injury. Not sure whether that's significant or not. I haven't seen anything about it. I haven't looked, to be honest. So we'll see how he gets on. With obviously Porro moving up over to the left hand side. Couple of strange ones. Well, couple of strange ones. Few of the substitutions coming on was good to see. Good to see Lancashire getting a bit of a run out, and also good to see Dorrington get on the pitch. Although he did make a big error playing the ball out directly to a Southampton player, which could have cost us. Fortunately, he didn't. But good to see him getting some minutes on the pitch as well. Werner came on after the kind of dressing down or the criticism of him against Rangers. But I cannot see what he's bringing to the team. I cannot see what he's doing that warrants him even getting minutes. I understand what Angie's saying about needing to play him because we are so short, but I don't know what's going on with that guy as to why he can't seem to put in any kind of performance, any kind of level of performance that we would class as acceptable. Gave the ball away far too often for me. Didn't really contribute, didn't put anything in there. And I don't want him to be the full guy. This isn't about me just picking on Werner. I've openly said I've not been his biggest fan. I'm sure he's a really, really nice guy, and I'd love to see him really do well. And in the times where he has put good crosses in and he has really shown something, I've always praised him for that. But I just do not think that he is going to work out for whatever reason. Now, I don't believe it's a mental reason. I don't believe it's a style reason. I just don't think he's good enough for what Ange wants us to play like. And I think he's had ample chance now to really show. I can understand. I didn't agree with us re-signing him, if I'm being honest. Said that before, but I understand why they did. He didn't really have enough time. He didn't play enough last season to really show his quality. But he's had so much opportunity since, and I'm yet to see a man of the match performance out of him. And yet, you know, you can call out a number of other players that come on and could have the man of the match for it. I mean, even Jed Spence, last night, you could argue that he did enough to give a man of the match performance, switching sides, setting up a couple of goals. He didn't do anything, didn't really do anything wrong, so, and that's in his kind of first real start. So anyway, really, ultimately really happy with the result. Understand why we did what we did in the second half, and I'm hoping that helps us come Thursday. I think it's worth calling out the fans. I thought the fans were brilliant. The singing was really, really loud on the TV. This new chant of I don't care about Levy. Levy don't care about me. All I care about is Kulusevski. I think it's a brilliant chant. Don't know where that's come from. Someone sent it to me at the Rangers game. I think it's brilliant. And I think it's brilliant that it's being sung in a positive way to keep the team motivated, but also to call out the growing feeling towards Daniel Levy, which ultimately he can't hide from until he really goes out there and backs the manager. Then he's always going to get this criticism, regardless of what he might say or how he might behave. I think he's put himself in this position, and he's stuck with it. It was good also to see the fans singing Angie's name as well. I think whilst there is massive criticism of Daniel Levy, I think in general, despite what social media would have you believe, I believe that the majority of fans are still behind Ange. Now, whether that's because they believe the problem is bigger in that it's Daniel Levy who's the problem, which, to be fair, is my view. If that may be why Ange is still getting the support that he is getting, I don't think he is blameless. I think there's some stuff that he needs to really own and do something about. But until we see him actually given the tools to do the job, I think you can't call him out as the problem. I think the problem lies with the board. It lies with Daniel Levy, and now is the time to stand up and be counted. Going into January, for us to still be currently in the cup competitions that we're in is credit, especially given where we are with our squad and so on. Then now's the time to really dig in and go, right, okay, let's build on this. We're in a decent position. We've got a manager who plays the football that we've said we want him to play, as in the board have said. So now we've got to give him the type of players he needs to do that, and not just rely on these youngsters who may well come to good in the future. That's great if they do. But at the same time, you still need to build on now. Top four is still within our grasp. We're still in the Carabao Cup, big game on Thursday for that, with a resurgent Man United. So no, it's not going to be easy. We're still in the European spaces. We've still got a good opportunity to progress in that, and the FA Cup to come. So now's the time to really, really step up. But yeah, the fans I thought were absolutely brilliant, giving some real credit to the players and hopefully giving them the heart to keep going. And I didn't feel any of that impacted the team. I thought they reacted really, really well. So, and Daniel Levy's face in the crowd was a picture when they were singing "We Want Levy Out." But listen, when your away support is that critical, then it's serious, because those people are people that generally go to all of those games, home and away, and they really do show that support for the team. They're a credit, generally speaking, to the club. So anyway, listen, I've rambled on for sort of 17 minutes or so, but yeah, really happy with the result. Good to see us get back to winning ways. Now it's about where we go from here. Big game on Thursday against Man United. That's one we've really, really got to win if we've got any chance of progressing in the competition and getting us any closer to silverware. Liverpool at the weekend, which will be a really, really difficult game for sure, because they are flying. So we'll see how we get on. At that. It's going to be a tough one, I think. But yeah, hopefully it's one that we can turn up for and really turn it on. Fingers crossed we get some returning players coming our way, and that gives us the boost we need. But anyway, listen, ultimately we keep the faith, we keep on supporting our team, and we see where it takes us. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. As always, I'll see you on the Shooting the Shit live show on Tuesday at 7:30. If you fancy coming along and supporting us and hearing what we've got to say, asking questions and so on, you're more than welcome to come along. But thanks for watching. Appreciate it again. I'll see you on the next one. Up the Spurs.